Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Powerhouse Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sean, with the Sean Richard Mortgage team here at Guaranteed Rate, and we've got an amazing episode for you today. I've got an incredible guest that's been in the real estate industry for some time. She's been at all different levels. She currently leads an amazing team in the DFW Metroplex. And oh, by the way, she's an expert at helping real estate agents generate more business doing lead generation. So without further ado, I would like to introduce each and every one of you to Kris Wise. Kris, say hi. Great to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us on Powerhouse Real Estate today, and looking forward to our conversation. So for everyone who doesn't know Kris is a real estate agent and really sales director here in the DFW area. I'll let her go into a little bit more about her. But like I said, she's been doing it for a little while now and has gone through the ranks. She's done a little bit of everything in the industry, and she's done it at a very high level for some time now. So Kris, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of, how you got to this point in your career.
Sure. Thank you, Sean. So I have been a realtor for 20 years, and I was an accountant before that. And my accounting brain wanted to be paid every 2 weeks and to know what that was. So real estate was never going to be my main thing. And it wasn't until I got married and married a wonderful man and a great income that he said, "What have you always wanted to do instead of accounting?" And I said, "I want to be a realtor." And so he and I actually got our real estate license together in 2002. And it was my plan A and his plan B. And, I was in business for 7 years, and then I came to Keller Williams, and Keller Williams actually had the models and the systems that allowed me to grow a business following the Millionaire Real Estate Agent model. So that's when my business really took off.
Okay. Now that's awesome. So, when I've been blessed, I know your husband as well, Mark, great guy. And so he asked you what you really wanted to do. Is there anything in particular that really was a light bulb moment to say, I want to do real estate?
I've always, I asked for a table saw when I was 14 for Christmas. So houses are always my thing. And I just realized that, real estate, I love being in houses. I love marketing homes. I love all things real estate. And it just made sense to do that. I never dreamed, honestly, that I would be in this career 20 years and at least over the last 2 years, basically sell a house a week. And, that's just never what I thought that it was going to be.
Well, that's incredible. And the industry is definitely a tedious role. Sometimes can feel a little bit thankless from time to time, but it's definitely rewarding. What do you love in the current environment? Like, what do you love about the industry at this stage in your career?
Gosh, at this stage, it's not about the money anymore. It's really about helping the families. And what I've really started to blossom into is coaching other agents to have them help them build a business that is bigger and getting them past their drunk monkeys. That's like, oh, but I don't want to pick up the phone. I don't want to be salesy, and really talking through that with them and helping them understand you're there to help people. You are not there to be
Did I hear you call that drunk monkeys?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to have you elaborate on that. Where did that term come from?
That is a Keller Williams bold term, but it's that drunk monkey who sits there and says, you don't want to make those calls because those people, I probably have one. Oh, I do up there, but I won't get up and get it. But, that thing that says, don't do it. You're going to be salesy. They're going to know. They're going to hear right through the phone that you're only calling them for business. And I had that drunk monkey on my shoulder as well. And what I figured out is if I had another reason to call them, if I was helping them, then that call was a very easy call to make. And so that's how I built my business. And so that's how I coach agents now. How to do that is truly, truly coming from contribution. And it's not about you, it's about them.
Well, I love that. And that's definitely, the mentality that we here at the Sean Richard Mortgage team take towards the industry and the business as well. Hadn't ever heard it called that, but I can see that makes sense. And the right I guess having the right motivation and the right message definitely quiets the drunk monkey. So
yes.
well, before we get into the heart of our conversation today about lead generation, I was hoping to touch on a little bit about the current real estate market, where we've been in a very unique real estate market in different ways over the past 3 years. And it's been a roller coaster seemingly over that time frame. So I really just wanted to take a quick moment and kind of get your take or your thoughts on the current real estate market and what some of the benefits or advantages of the market that we're in right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, talk about a crazy several years. And I'm doing this 20 years, and this is so different than anything I've ever experienced. Even when we've had the run-ups of like 2006 and 2007, and then the crashes of 2008 and 2009. So our current market, I truly believe that our homes were way undervalued. So we had a large correction in the past couple of years to bring those values up to where they should have been all along. And that makes sense. Now, it felt weird because suddenly we were having California price increases. And if you hadn't been in the business a long time, or maybe didn't look at the data, you got nervous about that. What I was seeing was, we're seeing almost like a right sizing of what the values of the homes are. Now, there comes a peak. There comes a peak where at some point it can't keep going at that trajectory, and it doesn't need to. And we saw that. We saw that in fourth quarter of last year. So prices were getting so high that finally, and interest rates as well, finally buyers were like saying, nope, I'm just not going to move. I'm not going to give up my 3% rate that I have on my mortgage to add that bedroom, or maybe add a pool, or add whatever it was that was causing me to want to buy a home. I don't want to sacrifice that 3% mortgage and go to a 7% mortgage just to get that at this time. Now, what we're finding as of January, I think they woke up and said, okay, interest rates are not going down anytime soon. We still need that extra bedroom because we're having a baby, or we want to have a pool, or whatever those things are that's causing them to move. And now we're seeing those buyers come back, and inventory is a little bit lower than we would like. And so homes are going quickly, but we are seeing buyers are back.
Well, and inventory is lower. We just had the existing home sales report come out from the National Association of Realtors just the other day. And nationally, we've only got about 980,000 homes for sale. And that was for the month of February. And that was at a 0% change for the month of January. So we didn't see a decline, but we didn't see an increase. But this is compared to, 3, 4, 5 years ago, when we were at 1.5, 2 million, maybe even 2.5 million homes for sale at any given time. So inventory has definitely stayed low, which has created some challenges. So with that being said, obviously some challenges in the market right now, definitely some benefits. And so today's topic of conversation is, okay, how as real estate agents can they spend focused, intentional time, drumming up business, so to speak, right? Generating leads. So that's really what I'd like us to talk about. So starting off, when it comes to lead generation in the current market, what would you say are some of the challenges that real estate agents are facing right now?
Well, you've got maybe the person who bought 5 or 6 years ago. They're sitting on some great equity, but they're really hamstrung by the fact that the mortgage, if they have a mortgage, is going to be at 7% as opposed to the 3 or 4 that they have. So we've got to be problem solvers. So we've got to understand, what is their motivation to buy anyway? Is it that they need more space? Do they need less space? What is it? And then also to remind them that the rate of interest is temporary, but securing that house can be forever. So, you've heard the thing, marry the house, date the rate. And that's truly, truly what they need to do. And it may be that their payment is a little bit higher for 1 to 2 years. I mean, neither you nor I know how long that's going to last, but we know that at some point rates are going to most likely come back down. They'll never be back to the 2.5 and 3 that we saw. But I mean, when I bought my first house in 91, it was at 7.5%. It was FHA mortgage at 7.5%. So, I mean,
and that was a good rate in 91.
Yes. So, I mean, that's why it's just funny when people freak out, they're so short-sighted. And, it wasn't too long ago that we were in the 6s, and, here we are 6 and 7 again. And, it's going to be okay. But, certainly, and it's funny because when you have renters, they're like, oh, but the interest rate, yeah, but on renting, it's 100%. I mean, you're not getting anything. So, even just jump in and do something is better than doing nothing. So I think it's going about and figuring out what is the problem we need to solve. Does it make sense to move in order to solve that problem? And sometimes, remodeling the house is enough, and that's fine. I have a great list of trusted tradespeople that, I can walk somebody through a remodeling instead of moving. But if it makes sense to move, then I'm going to lay that out. Ultimately, it's their decision, but I'm there to provide the facts so they can make a good decision.
I love that. And focusing on the problems and being solution oriented and say, okay, well, here's here are the challenges that the current market is presenting for buyers and sellers. And how do we present solutions that maybe they say, you know what, that I like the solution, but it's not for me right now. But at least you've presented with some solutions that could potentially work out for them. So that's awesome. Okay. Yeah. So turning to kind of newer agents a little bit, and again, sticking with the theme of lead generation, kind of what are some of the pitfalls, maybe top 2 or 3 pitfalls that you see newer agents make when starting to try and grow their business and generate leads?
Yeah, definitely. They are so scared of that right there. They do not want to pick up the phone and talk to their sphere. I mean, we've got an agent on our team who's a recent college graduate. She said, my friends aren't buying houses. Yes, but your friend's parents are downsizing. And once we got her to think that way and think about listings, she just listed her first, friend's parents' house. And that's so exciting because here she's 23, I guess, and she's done something that she couldn't even fathom doing. And now she's actually doing it. And what's nice is once she's successful on that, then of course it's all over her Instagram and her friends, and then their parents will see that as well. So I just let people know that call the people that know, like, and trust you already and say, hey, if I'm brand new in the business, I just got my real estate license and I am so excited. And I know you guys aren't thinking about moving, but if you hear of anybody, I would love to be able to talk with them. And actually, my coach has challenged me to do 3 mock listing appointments. So if you know anybody who could just sit down with me and have me practice on them, it doesn't have to be a real appointment. That would be awesome. That would be so great if you could help me out. I have done that. I did a Facebook thing with Savannah, the one who's the recent college graduate. It was a Facebook Live, and I said, somebody give us a call. We're just scheduling mock listing appointments. It turned into a real listing appointment, so you never know.
Nice. Very, very nice. So call reluctance, and especially I could see younger generations, they like to be texting a lot.
Yes.
And the stereotype that they don't like a whole lot of social interaction, everything's on the phone. Mm-hmm. So picking up that phone and having a real conversation can be challenging. Maybe what's one other, big pitfall that you see newer agents make when trying to get their business off the ground?
I think they're expecting people to come to them because magically they got a license, and you've got to go out there and be visible. And that's what I've done over the years is I want real estate and Kris Wise to be synonymous. And that doesn't happen by just me wearing a name badge or something like that. That happens with layered marketing. That happens with being visible in the community. That happens with knowing my stuff. And one thing that I would tell new agents, let's say they work a neighborhood or something. Let's just say it's Flower Mound. This is something that I did back when I was working to be the force within Flower Mound. Is before I went anywhere, I would do a quick CMA for Flower Mound. So when that first person asked me, so how's the market? I didn't go, oh my God, it's awesome. Instead, I said, do you know that in the last 7 days, 37 homes in Flower Mound have been listed? Right now, 7 are under contract, and we're at about 12 days on the market. Why do you ask?
Sounds like you made it a point to ensure that they knew that you were the expert.
I knew my stuff. And it took me 2 minutes to run that. But it was the intentionality of running that before I walked out the door to any kind of event. It could be a gala. It could be whatever the event was. If I was, volunteering at my kid's school at the time, somebody was going to ask me, so how's the market?
I love that. And intentionality, I could do an entire class on intentionality in your business, right? It's super, super important. So I like that you chose that word specifically. So what would you, if you could put your finger on just one thing that was maybe most important for agents, whether it be new or existing, to build their lead generation strategies? What might be one thing that you could point to say, hey, this is really important, either a concept, an activity, a theme? What's one thing that you might be able to point to on that?
So I'm going to point to 3, and it's the three-legged stool. So it's got to be something that you are intentionally going to do every day. And there's now business and there's future business. If you do enough of both of those, when it comes to the future, you don't have to do the now business because there's so much future business. I basically say I'm sitting under the shade of a tree I planted 20 years ago. So I don't have to make outbound calls typically because the calls are coming inbound. So I don't have to worry about that. But I can tell you that I had to do a lot of, kissing babies and shaking hands and all of that, back a long time ago. So the three-legged stool should be 2 now business generators. Open houses are great. I don't know about you, but a lot of times the agents can't show on the weekends. And so they have got to allow people to go to open houses because maybe they've got so many buyers that are happening right now that they can't go show all the buyers. So open houses are a great way to get people in. Now, granted, if you're there and you're hosting that open house and they already have an agent, don't poach them. But there's also people who walk into open houses that don't have agents. And so be ready, be available, know your market stats when you go, be intentional with what you've done to
There's
prepare
that word
for them.
again.
Yes. Don't have an accidental open house. An accidental open house is, oh shit, I got to get those signs out. Oh, and let me go run and do it. No. An intentional open house is you've door knocked that neighborhood 2 days in advance. You have personally invited people to that open house. You have CMAs ready to go for that house and other homes in the area. You have, what we've always done is, let's say if I'm doing a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home, then I have a list of 3-bedroom, 2 or 3-bath homes. I have a list of 5-bedroom homes. I have a list of homes with pools. And so when somebody comes in and goes, this is not exactly what we need. It's too big. It's too small. I'm looking for a pool. Oh, here, I've got a list. Darn, this is my only copy. If you give me your name and phone number, I can give that, I can get this list to you. That's what you do. You're having that engagement, and the open house is great for now business. The other thing is you're proactively prospecting. So what are you doing? Are you calling expireds? Are you doing something for now business? The third leg is, what am I doing marketing wise so that it's going to pay me 2 years from now? Because I need business then too. And granted, I don't want to be pounding the phones every day, but I've got to have that 3-legged stool, 2 that is now business and 1 that's future business.
And you stated marketing, because really it sounds like that leans towards like branding and marketing, really awareness, right, of who you are.
Exactly.
So that way, those individuals down the road, you're building a presence in the area that you're looking to do business, and they're able to find you. And I guess you're building momentum for future business.
Is really exactly. And that's where I'm living in, and momentum is the word that I use. I am living in the momentum stage that I don't have to proactively prospect every single day. But I will tell you, I still have to prospect. I still have to know my stuff. The key is I'm not having to spend 3 hours of lead generation every day on the phone because I've got an incredible farm that provides me, great leads. And I've got an incredible team that also provides me great leads. So I'm not having to do that proactive prospecting.
I love what you've laid out for us, because essentially you just showed us that having an intentional process for the activities that you're doing. You just laid out open house, and I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, to be ready for the open house. So that way, when the open house occurs, there's nothing that's coming up that's going to be like, oh, I didn't prepare for that.
Exactly. The accidental open house. I hate that. And I used to do them. Believe me, I wasn't perfect.
Well, I love that. And so my next question, we kind of already dove into, I was going to ask, what are really 1 or 2 top strategies for generating leads in today's market? You mentioned open houses as one of them. Is there something in addition to open houses that you think is just a slam dunk top method to generate leads in today's market?
So there isn't. The answer to that is, it's got to be something that you're willing to do every day.
Okay.
So we had an introverted agent here in our office that did not want to go and do all those other things. but he did great open houses. And he felt that if people came to him, he could just knock it out of the park, and he did. He was armed with data. He was great in a consultative manner. And he built his business, honestly, holding my listings open. And so that's one way to do it. There's other people that just want to pound the phones and call expireds or call for sale by owners or those kind of things. And that's fine as well. That's not how I chose to do my business. So that was never going to be one of my legs on my stool, because I do so much better with people who already know, like, and trust me, that then it's a matter of let's just do business together. So it depends on the person. Some people, I mean, they may have an interest. Like, we've got one of the agents on our team is really into horses and land. So she's our land expert. I mean, she's gone down to Conroe and closed something down in Conroe. So anytime, I mean, she's just known as the land person. So that's great, because that is her identity. And so that's what she's trying to attract, is the land people. And as long as you talk about it, it's on your social, all of that, then people, when that comes up, then they're going to think of you. And that's the goal.
Well, I love that. And when I do, because I do a bit of coaching of real estate agents as well. Actually, today I had the opportunity to teach several agents in a boot camp that we've been putting on for a few weeks. And one of the things that I talk about in the boot camp is we need to choose activities that we like to do, that we're good at, but most importantly also that make us money. You know,
Yes.
And those three things. And if you have an activity that hits all three of those boxes, chances are it's going to allow you to drive your success. So right in line with
Yes.
everything you just said. That's awesome.
And one thing that I see a lot of new agents mistake is they are marketing. They are not prospecting. So I'm going to send out a flyer. I'm going to send a postcard. I'm going to put an ad in the whatever. That is marketing. I'm going to post on Facebook. That is marketing. That's only marketing. That is not prospecting. Prospecting is
more
purposely. Is what?
Yeah, a lot of passive versus proactive. Okay.
Yeah.
So coming back to new agents, maybe new agent just getting started in the business, what's one key piece of advice that you would give to a brand new agent just getting started to set them in the right direction, the right path?
Is determine what is going to be your lead generation strategy. And what's the mechanics of that? So is it going to be calling your sphere? I mean, a sphere-based business is a very strong business, and I run a sphere-based business. So certainly, but you got to start with making contacts with that sphere. Just because they're in your phone doesn't mean that they're automatically going to think of you in real estate. So especially if they've been friends or parents of friends, you need to get them to think of you differently. And so, you know, even if you just called and said, hey, I got my realtor hat on today, and then you have a conversation. You know, if I call my best friend, she's going to think that I'm just calling just to chat. But if I say, I have my realtor hat on today, so I've been thinking about this strategy, or I've been, you know, whatever it is, it lets them know that you're operating as a professional at that point, and you're going to have a professional conversation with them. So that, I think that's one piece of advice. Another piece of advice that I give a lot of people is, just because it's not working doesn't mean it's not working. A farmer does not till the soil, put a seed, put water on it, and the next day go, didn't work. No, you've got to do it time on task over time. And once you do that for so long, then things will pop up, as long as you are consistent and you have a methodology and a plan, then it's going to work. But also, you need now business. Now business is not planting a field. Now business is going and buying a plant. And you got to figure out where you're going to do those.
Well, I love it. And the theme really of everything we've talked about, what I'm hearing is I'm hearing consistency, and I'm hearing intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before in my classes that I teach. You know, I could stand on the street corner in my underwear with a sign that says, I do mortgages. And if I do it long enough and consistently enough, somebody at some point is going to stop and say, hey, tell me about these mortgages that you do.
Yes.
And so I love the message there. And I couldn't agree with you more. All right. Well, Kris, that's all the time that we have for today. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
It was an absolute pleasure hearing some amazing advice from you. I hope all of the real estate agents watching have able to walk away with at least one or two nuggets of information that they can implement in their business to help them increase their success, to drive them further towards their goals. So all of you watching out there, if you're watching in the Powerhouse private Facebook group, thank you so much for being an incredible part of our community. If you're checking us out on the Powerhouse YouTube channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that way you can get up-to-date real estate, economic, and mortgage information to your phone at the tips of your fingertips. So thank you so much for joining us today. Have an incredible rest of your day. Take care.
Yes, thank you.